Hello, I'm Stephan Schwartz, and I'm glad to welcome you to Schwartz Report. Last week, I talked to you about how fostering well-being for others creates more well-being for you. This week, I want to talk about happiness, to continue this idea that we are interlinked and interdependent, and that what we do about ourselves and our attitude and consciousness has an effect on others. And I think you're going to be surprised how big an effect. So while most people say they want to be happy, they often believe that becoming happy involves the belief in some myth or carries assumptions that just aren't factual. A study at Harvard University demonstrated this. Just to make it even clearer, the World Happiness Report that's put together by Gallup and Oxford University and Wellbeing Research Center and Sustainable Development, every year for years now, they have been studying all the countries in the world, rating them for happiness. The experts use responses from people in more than 140 nations to rank the world's happiest countries. And it's just come out. And once again, Finland tops the overall list. This is the 7th successive year that they have done so. So this is clearly a country that's doing something right about fostering well-being and producing happy people. In contrast, and this is, I think, just very sad news, the United States of America has fallen out of the top 20 happiest countries. We're 23rd this year. And this is the first time that this has happened since they started the World Happiness Report in 2012. And the saddest part of all is that most of this drop is driven because of the unhappiness and the lack of sense of well-being of Americans under 30. Now think about that for a second. Not only are we a very unhappy country, we're not even in the top 20, but because of what we're doing, the social policies, the attitudes, the consciousness, our younger generation are the unhappiest of all. The country's results vary dramatically among different age groups. However, with young people under 30 ranking 62nd out of the 143 countries, while U.S. adults age 60 and above rank 10th. So again, as I said, in this happiness report that they do every year and have been doing it for a number of years, in the United States, we are A, unhappy, and B, our younger people are particularly unhappy. Is that the future we want for America? Now, why are people unhappy? What doesn't produce happiness? It's very interesting because it's not at all what you would think. Harvard University did an extensive study on happiness, and they found that the 5 factors that don't produce happiness are money, material things, youth, physical attractiveness, and children. Exactly what you would not have picked. You would have thought, well, if I have a lot of money, then I'll be much happier. Well, it turns out that's not necessarily true. Or if you think, well, I'm going to be happy when I'm a young person, and then as I get older, I'll be less happy. That doesn't work either. Or that I'm very good looking, and therefore that means I'm going to be happy. Nope, that doesn't work either. Or having children. Nope, that doesn't work either. So our assumptions about what makes things happy are not correct in most cases. But one of the things that did prove out in these studies is that happiness is contagious. Now, you remember last time I told you that when you foster well-being in others, it fosters well-being in yourself. And here is another confirmation of that. Happiness is contagious. So when you become happy, people around you are happy. And it's very specific. Harvard medical sociologist Nicholas Christakis and his colleagues published in the British Medical Journal a study on this exact issue. And they said, you would think that your emotional state would depend on your own choices and actions and experience. It does not. Rather, people's happiness depends on the happiness of others with whom they are connected. Exactly what I told you last week about fostering well-being. When you work to make others have a better state of well-being and to be happier, your state of well-being and your happiness improves. The group that published in the BMJ studied 4,739 people, and they followed them for 20 years and discovered that if you're happy, you increase the probability that those around you are happy. Again, think about this. We are all interconnected and interdependent. Our culture is struggling because it's sort of every man for himself or every woman for themselves. When in fact, the real truth is that when we are happy and others around us are happy and there is greater well-being, that everybody does better. This effect is so strong that it extends to the third degree of separation. If you're happy, people in your neighborhood are likely to be happy, or more likely to be happy. If you're fostering well-being in your community, in your neighborhood, if you stand for well-being for your state or your nation, and you're doing what I described as the quotidian choice, where every choice you make fosters compassion and is life-affirming and fosters well-being, well then this extends out way beyond what you might realize. The study found that if a friend who lives within 1.6 kilometers, about a mile, who becomes happy, increases by 25% the probability that you'll be happy. So if you've got some friend who lives down the street or a few blocks away who you see regularly and they report that they're happy, it's going to make you happier. If a friend's friend is happy, it has more influence than if you get a $5,000 raise. Now that may be hard to believe, but that's what the research shows. We are interconnected and interdependent, and it makes a difference if we are fostering well-being. and fostering happiness, not only for ourselves, but for others. It is this sense of being part of the collective that makes the difference. And it makes a difference much further out than you would imagine. So, if you're going to do this, and I recommend that you do, what are 5 things that contribute to happiness that all of this research has discovered? And again, it's not at all what you would expect. And yet, thousands and thousands of people have been queried and interviewed about their happiness and how they got to be happy or unhappy. And this is what they find out. When you do something and you commit yourself fully, you lose awareness of time. You just give yourself over to what you're doing. And if it's something that fosters well-being and is compassionate, it makes you happier and it makes everybody around you happier. Whatever you do, you give yourself over to it so that you aren't thinking of yourself. You're not thinking, oh, how can I benefit? How can I get money out of this? How does this make me more powerful? And instead you think about, how can I foster compassion and well-being? And you give yourself over to it. And you just stop thinking about what your personal advantage is. And when you do that, you get happier. And as you're doing whatever it is you do that makes you feel happy, you do it in a manner so that you aren't interrupted by extraneous thoughts while you're doing it. So you have to really get committed to fostering well-being, fostering happiness in yourself. You have to be proactive in your life, not passive. That's very important. You don't see yourself as a victim. You see yourself as somebody who is proactive and who can make a difference by the things that they do. And if you look at history, you look at the people who got women the vote, who got civil rights to work, who got, like Gandhi, got a freedom for their country without a war. Not rich people, not powerful people as you would normally think. They had no army, no fancy position. They were proactive in fostering well-being, and it gave them happiness. And although the work may be hard and demanding, if you work at it effortlessly because you believe in what you are doing, it'll work. And we know that when 10% of any cohort, a school group, a church group, a neighborhood group, a community group, a nation, when 10% commit themselves to something and they change in consciousness and become committed in doing it, the whole cohort, whatever size it is, has to accommodate to that change for the better or the worse. So the question is, are you interested in promoting well-being? Are you interested in being happy in your life? Do you want to stop feeling like you're a victim or that you don't have any ability to alter anything? Do you want to stop feeling resentful and unhappy with what's going on? If you do, and you commit to these 5 things, give yourself over, lose awareness of time, stop thinking about yourself, stop thinking about being nagged by other things while you're working, be proactive, and make every single choice you make be compassionate, life-affirming, and fostering of well-being. Now, you will make yourself happier. You'll make everybody around you happier. You have the power to do this. The question is, are you ready to wake up to do it? There's nothing stopping you but you. And I hope that this has been helpful, and that this business of the quotidian choice, of every choice you make, is compassionate, life-affirming, and fostering of well-being, will bring you the kind of happiness you desire. It will give you the sense of purpose, the sense of integrity, the sense of making a difference that each of us can possess if we will just make these choices. Thank you.